Welcome to World Saga, a tabletop role-playing game by EGA Kane. Check out the first basic mechanics video as an introduction to gameplay. In this second video, we will learn all about the components of a World Saga character. I'll then go over exactly how to create a character for a World Saga game. I'll be creating the main character for Season 2 of my Tales of Ennelis, a solo role-playing podcast. Let's begin. Characters in World Saga have attributes. Attributes represent who your character is on a fundamental level. They represent three categories: physical, mental, and spiritual. This model corresponds to the idea that the fundamental components of a person is defined by their body, mind, and spirit. Strength is a measure of raw, muscular power and physical prowess. Strength is composed of pure body. Agility is the ability to nimbly flex and move the body quickly. Agility is composed of the mind interacting with the body. Endurance is the ability to push a body's physical limitations and endure. Endurance is composed of the spirit interacting with the body. Coordination is the ability for manual dexterity and precise timing. Coordination is composed of the body interacting with the mind. Intelligence is the ability for learning, reasoning, and understanding. Intelligence is composed of pure mind. Willpower is the ability to maintain focus despite pain, stress, or fear. Willpower is composed of the spirit interacting with the mind. Charisma is personal magnetism, charm, and the ability to influence others. Charisma is composed of the body interacting with the spirit. Perception is the ability for intuition, recognition, and insight. Perception is composed of the mind interacting with the spirit. Empathy is the ability to connect, understand, and communicate with others. Empathy is composed of pure spirit. A character's attributes cannot be altered after the character creation process. This is a representation of who they are on a fundamental level. It is what they will have to work with during their adventuring career. Any further improvements to the character are done by increasing their skills, resistances, and tolerances. We'll discuss these later in the video. Each attribute has a rank, which ranges from 4 to 12. It is a measure of a character's aptitude for that attribute. Rank 8 is considered an average value for a typical human being. For example, a character with a rank of 6 in strength would be considered physically weak. A character with rank 10 would be considered to be quite strong. With a rank of 12, a character would be considered one of the strongest people in the town. Next, let's talk about skills. Skills are how a characters typically interact with the world, from investigating a murder to swinging a sword. There is a skill associated with most actions in the game. Each character has a rank for each skill in the game. This is a measure of how capable a character is with the activities associated with that skill. A skill rank is a combination of a character's natural talent, represented by their attributes, combined with any experience and training the character has accumulated. Each skill has 2 attributes that are related to it. Skill ranks are calculated by taking the lowest of the 2 associated attributes and then adding any training ranks for that skill. For example, if your character had a strength of 10 and agility of 8, your character would combine 8 with their training rank to calculate their final skill rank in the athletics skill. In this case, the character is quite strong, but has only average agility. Thus, it is their agility that is limiting their athletic ability. However, the limitations of your character's natural ability can be overcome by training and experience. This is represented by training ranks. Each character varies in their level of training and experience in a skill. These are represented by a training rank. Training ranks range from 0 for untrained to 8 for legendary. Skills always start at a training rank of 0, meaning your character is untrained in that skill. As the character's training rank increases, by spending experience points through advancement, they are able to apply their training and experience for even better performance with that skill. We'll talk more about experience points, or XP, and advancement later in this video. The next component of a World Saga character is their resistances. Resistances are often rolled to avoid damage or some other harmful effect. There are 3 resistances: reflexes, resilience, and resolve. They work quite similarly to skills, as they have 2 attributes associated with each of them. Likewise, they also have a training rank that can be used to increase and improve a character's final resistance rank. Reflexes is a measure of a character's ability to react to sudden events. It is based on a character's agility and perception. Reflexes tests are used for avoiding area of effect events, like a cave-in, a trap, or an explosion. A character's reflexes rank is also added to their initiative roll during combat. Resilience is a measure of a character's ability to resist physical harm. It is based on a character's endurance and willpower. Resilience tests are used for reducing physical damage and resisting the effects of poisons and diseases. A character's hardiness is a variant of resilience, which is used specifically to avoid physical damage from attacks. Hardiness takes into account a character's armor and any other protections from physical attacks. Resolve is a measure of a character's ability to overcome stress and hardship. It is based on a character's empathy and willpower. Resolve tests are used for assessing morale, confronting fear, and resisting mental and spiritual attacks. Next, let's talk about tolerances. Tolerances are a measure of the current state of your character's body, mind, and spirit. There are 3 corresponding tolerances: stamina, attention, and courage. Much like skills and resistances, each tolerance has a training rank that can be used to improve a character's maximum value. Unlike skills and resistances, tolerances are based on a single attribute. Stamina is based on a character's endurance. It is a measure of a character's physical energy and health. Stamina determines how much physical damage a character can withstand before being wounded or injured. When a character's stamina falls to 0, they become tired and gain the exhausted condition. If the character is attacked while exhausted, then the character must take the endure action. They might then gain an injury or become bleeding out. This can happen when a character is struck down by a foe in combat. Stamina can typically be restored by taking a moment to catch your breath between fights, by taking the breathe or rest actions. Attention is based on a character's willpower. It is a measure of a character's mental energy and focus. Attention determines how much mental strain a character can tolerate before losing their concentration. Attention is used as a currency for special actions in combat and social conflicts. When a character's attention falls to 0, they become inattentive, and the character gains the stressed condition. This can happen during combat when enemies use special actions against them, but also when a character is in a social conflict. Attention can be restored by relaxing and focusing, by taking the focus action during combat or the refocus action after the excitement has ended. Courage is based on a character's empathy. It is a measure of a character's spiritual fortitude and the ability to push themselves forward through hardship. Courage determines how much spiritual and emotional damage a character can endure before they begin to lose hope. Courage is also used as a special currency to alter die rolls in the player's favor. We'll talk more about those options in a future video. When a character's courage falls to 0, they become forlorn and gain the hopeless condition. Any courage damage taken while hopeless, and the character must take the persevere action. The character might gain a trauma or start going mad. This can happen when a character confronts extreme fear, sudden loss, or severe hardship. Courage can only be restored by having a long and heartfelt talk with an inspiring ally who takes the enhearten or comfort actions. Now that we know the components of a character, let's create a new character. As an example, I'll be creating the main protagonist for Season 2 of my Tales of Endless podcast. First, we start with Ancestry. In World Saga, a character's ancestry doesn't have any specific mechanical effects, and most characters are assumed to be human. But that doesn't mean you can't play an elf or a dwarf in a fantasy game if your GM allows it. Be sure to talk to your GM about the game and the setting. My character is going to be human. Since he is from my homebrew world of Endless, I've decided he is of the Amari heritage and is living in the lands of Verland. Next, we choose our character's attributes. First, each attribute is set to the minimum value of 4. Then, for a standard game, you have 36 points to distribute between the 9 attributes. I find it easiest to set everything to 8 using these 36 points. This creates a perfectly boring, average human being. Then I can adjust based on the strengths and weaknesses of the character that I envision. Be sure to give your character flaws, as this is what tends to make characters interesting and multidimensional. For my character, I decided that his body was agile, with good endurance. However, his mind is not particularly smart or clever. He also has poor intuition, but he has modest charisma and empathy. If you're unsure of your character's attributes, feel free to leave this section for later on, after you create your character's background. You might have a better picture of your character as you learn their backstory. You can also wait to fill out your character's attributes during the development stage, and you start assigning their training. But we'll talk more about that later. Next, we move on to our character's background. Where did they come from? How did they grow up? You might know the answer to these questions already, but if you don't, World Saga provides a series of random tables called the Life Path. This can be used to help generate your character's background and motivations. These results also grant you free training ranks in skills, resistances, and tolerances based on the rolled results. If you already have envisioned your character's backstory, feel free to select choices from these tables accordingly. Or alternatively, you can forego the life path entirely and proceed directly to development with 20 additional experience points to spend. This is instead of the free training ranks provided by going through the life path process. For my new character, I'm going to use the life path tables to generate my character's story. For his birth circumstance, I rolled a 2, which gives him 1 training rank in his stamina tolerance. So I note that down. So some time has passed, and I've rolled on all the following charts and weaved the pieces together to tell a story for my character's background. Since my character was born strong and healthy, I decided he was born to a well-off family. His father was a furniture maker for the upper class. My character then spent his childhood rather carefree, running around with his friends. However, as he began to grow into adolescence, he became quite strong, and he began to use his size to bully others and become a kind of ringleader among his friends. This caused him to get into many fights and brawls, where he learned a thing or two about defending himself. When he became of age, my character decided to become a soldier. He joined a group of mercenaries, or knights, to fight and explore the land. The experience expanded his stamina as he set out to prove himself. Now that we have his general backstory and some free training ranks, we choose his motivation. This is an important component for how a character will behave and what their overall goals are. I rolled a 5. Discovery. My character wishes to see the world. Perhaps that's why he joined this order of knights in the first place. Each motivation also comes with a flaw, and for my character, it is restlessness. He doesn't like to stay in one place for too long. Maybe that'll become important in the story. With the life path completed, we move on to development. This is where you can customize your character's skills and talents to your choosing. Your character has 20 experience points or XP to spend. To increase a skill, it costs a number of XP equal to the new desired rank of that skill. For instance, if your training rank in healing skill was 3, proficient, and you wanted to increase it to 4, expert, it would cost you 4 XP to increase it. It costs twice as much XP to increase a tolerance or a resistance. If you already have a free training rank in a skill, perhaps from your background, then you don't have to buy it with XP. However, if you want to increase that training rank, you do have to spend the associated cost for the current value. During development, you can increase a training rank to any amount you desire, provided you have enough XP. After you have finished character creation, your character will gain additional XP by completing quests and adventuring. You can then spend that XP in a similar process called advancement. For my character, I know he was a warrior of some kind, so I wanted to give him plenty of training in the fighting skill. Fighting is a special category skill, much like shooting, and you increase the training rank for each category individually, almost as if they were different skills. For fighting and shooting, the categories are based on weapon groups. For the craft and lore skills, the categories are based on different disciplines and areas of knowledge. I gave my character a total of 4 training ranks in fighting, dueling blades. This makes him an expert with dueling blades. This also gives him access to both the trained and expert special combat maneuvers associated with the Dueling Blades weapon group. Each weapon group has special combat maneuvers associated with them. As your training in that category increases to trained, expert, or master, your character learns these special combat maneuvers. For my character, he will have access to the thrust and lunge maneuvers. We'll talk more about combat maneuvers in a future video. Moving on, now we can purchase gear for our new character. Each character starts with some basic supplies and 100 silver coins to purchase weapons, armor, and other equipment. Items in the World Saga are measured in bulk, a combination of weight and volume. Each character can carry up to their strength in bulk without penalty, or up to 1.5 times their strength in total bulk, but then they will gain the encumbered condition. Each character gets a free backpack, which does not take up a bulk slot, and it provides 10 light bulk slots for smaller items. For my character, this leaves me with plenty of bulk slots to fill up with weapons and armor. For my character, I've established that he was a soldier, perhaps a knight of some kind. I see him as a sword and shield warrior, so I purchased a knight sword for him. It doesn't have any special traits, but it is a balanced option within the Dueling Blades weapon group. Next, I purchased some medium armor. I imagine it is metallic plates, like scales over hard leather. This provides some good protection, and it increases his hardiness with a +4 item bonus. But it will slow him down and make some skills more difficult while he is wearing it. Finally, I purchased a small shield to help him block attacks and utilize his proficient block skill. After purchasing all his weapons and armor, my character doesn't have too many coins left. I think I'll just save the rest and let his adventure begin as he is. I've added all his equipment to his character sheet and noting down the number of bulk slots each item fills up. Now we can calculate the final ranks for all our skills and resistances. For each skill and resistance, we sum the training rank and the lowest of the 2 associated attributes. We can also add or subtract any item modifiers, since these are unlikely to change unless we swap our equipment. Now we have our final rank for each skill and resistance. When our character has to make a test for these skills, we will combine this rank with any condition or situation modifiers that come up during play to then calculate our target number for the test. We also calculate our character's maximum tolerances in the same way as skills and resistances, except there is only one attribute to add to any training ranks. Now we can calculate some derived statistics. First, our character's speed. If you're using a grid or hex map for combat, this is the number of squares the character can move with a single stride action. It is equal to 2 plus 1/2 the character's agility, rounded down. Since our character is wearing armor, we also apply his armor's item penalty to his speed. Next, we calculate the character's hardiness rank. This is equal to their character's resilience rank, plus any item bonuses from the character's armor. In our case, my character's medium armor increases his hardiness by 4. He'll be quite hard to injure in combat, at least until his armor takes too many dents. We'll talk more about armor and dents in a future video. Now our character is nearly complete. He just needs a name and a rough physical description. However, I'll save those for my podcast. Now you can see how easy it is to create a World Saga character. This concludes this tutorial on character creation. If you like this game, you can find more information at worldsaga.us. And be sure to check out The Tales of Ennelis, my solo role-playing podcast set in my very own homebrew campaign setting of Ennelis. Season 2 of the podcast will be using these roles of World Saga. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.